Welcome to Idea Tennis, where we challenge ideas, elevate thinking, and serve up conversation that make you question everything.
No one is coming to save you. There are people in your circle that may make you feel good about your poor decision making because they want you to like them. Any relationship that forces you to go underground to be seen, to be protected. If I do enough of this, and if I do enough of that, then you'll love me. That's a lie. It's not true. The performance that comes from thinking you got to be the hero for people and a villain to yourself, bullshit. We got to stop that. People don't need to be life. They just need to be more honest and truthful about the one they have.
We're doing something different today. For the first time on Idea Tennis, we're not just Jessica and Asher going back and forth. We're bringing someone to the table. Our first guest, and not just any guest, our co-author, our friend, and someone who taught us that courage doesn't always look like confidence. Joshua Fields knows what it costs to show up polished. Corporate America taught him which version of himself got promoted. And somewhere along the way, he learned that the mask doesn't just protect you, it exhausts you. Joshua is an ICF certified executive coach who works with high performers who look successful on paper but feel exhausted in private. He helps people dismantle the performance and set real boundaries and stop living for everyone else's approval.
Mm.
He's also the creative force behind Music by Jay Fields, a sought-after wedding DJ who reads the room, curates the emotional flow, and brings the same presence to celebration that he brings to his coaching. But today, we're not here to talk about resume. We're here to talk about Mindset Coward, Lying Our Way to the Truth, the book we wrote together, the book about the quiet lies we tell ourselves to stay safe. The part Joshua wrote is called Unmasking, and it cost him something to write it. This is a conversation between co-authors who have walked different roads but know the same ache. We're going back and forth, asking the question we don't usually get to ask, and letting the truth surface the way it does when you're with people who already know your story. Joshua Fields, welcome to Idea Tennis. You were a first guest, brother.
Well, man, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Jessica and Asher. You all have been, just real quick on the book. I never even thought, not that I didn't think it was possible, but it just becomes a fantasy until you put it down on paper and start living the lifestyle that comes with that. And so, forever grateful to have a team of people that help me go farther than just doing something fast and quick by myself. So you've been a true definition of what it means to be in community with a tribe that has a same outcome or outcome interest and being able to deliver on that. And so, yeah, it's been, one of the things on the bucket list. Check, done.
Check done.
I love that. I love that. So you're a co-author on this project. I consider you a truth teller, a disruptor, a husband, a dad. You forgot that part, Asher, on the resume.
We're gonna let him speak that one.
Yeah.
A man of God. But one of the things that really hits home for me about you is that you are a voice that will challenge not only how you see yourself, but where you stand in the world. And that's a hard truth that most people can't imagine that process. You know, the truth is a hard pill to swallow. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today, but you've had a journey that most people couldn't even imagine because you are that truth teller and disruptor. What made you say yes to this project with us?
Yeah, that's a great question. What a way to open up. You know, there's a couple of things. My wife and I, we are in couples therapy, and my little girl's been in therapy, and the same therapist that supports my wife and I also supports us individually, which I was a little averse to at first, but then I was like, okay, well, let's trust the vibes and see what comes of this. And it's been one of the best experiences for me in my entire life, to have a place to put my truth in a container that's free of judgment, free of ridicule and shame, and let yourself be processed. And so what I have learned, why I even bring this up, what I've learned through that process in and of itself is I can figure out a lot if I just trust my intuition when I'm making integrated decisions. And so a lot of that hemming and hawing or pausing and not doing because I got to get everything figured out. Well, that's just not how I operate. And sometimes I've been shamed because I operate off of energy. You know, I do my own test internally. And the only thing that has happened by having a safe space to be able to consistently communicate my truth, like therapy and having people around you that could be a great mirror, is you know when something comes your way and it's for you. It is the noise of, well, what's my mama gonna think? Well, I wasn't raised that way, and then so and so told me it's supposed to go like this, and then I saw something that said, well, we got to do this and that, and you miss opportunity like that. And so it was not a whole lot of like, let me think about this. I've been around enough people that have sharpened me to be more of myself, to make decisions that are in alignment with who I am. And so this, to answer your question without all the fluff, was very easy to do, because let me say it was very simple to do, because the work that I'm doing, currently doing, and will forever do, is how do I amplify my light so bright that I can follow it without interruption and distraction, because I'm so insecure by what others are saying that I might miss what's for me. And this book was for me, the opportunity, the journey was for me, because I got to tell my story in a safe, embodied way, and inspire me to, like, man, what else is possible when you can find more ways to be aligned with who you are. So that's my short and dirty answer to that, even though it wasn't that short, but it was my answer.
I love it. You just said so many key things in why you said yes to the book. One of the main things in our book, we talk a lot about this in our different stories, the perception of the outside world, right? The whispers, the naysayers, the haters, the people that question what and why we're doing what we're doing, and being able to silence that noise takes extreme confidence, and not confidence that everything's going to work out the way you have planned, but confidence in knowing however it works out, that is God's perfect timing. It is meant to be. It's going to be exactly what is intended for me. And most people are paralyzed by the fear to be able to get to that place in saying yes to the unknown. But I could relate to you, because when Asher asked me for this project, I said yes without fully knowing, one, who the co-authors were, what we were really going to talk about, because the idea of mindset coward, I thought about something completely different originally. And when he brought his vision to life of what he thought the book could be, if we, the four of us, and Vanessa will be with us next week, kind of peeled back and revealed the hidden truth about ourselves in this book, to me was then just brilliance. I loved the concept when he was able to articulate it in the way that he did. Asha, how did you come up with this?
I like what you just said just now, hidden truth. I think we all are looking for the hidden truth in ourselves, in the people we're around. And I think that's the interesting part of the journey. Like life itself is like, I want to find the hidden truth. God hidden some truth all over the place. And can I go treasure hunting for the truth? But oftentimes, we lie away to it because, the folks that we grew up with, they protect us through saying things that might not be the complete truth, but it's there to protect us because we're not ready for the real truth. And oftentimes, it's some form of a lie. And then we do that same thing with the young one in behind us, or some of the folks that's ahead of us. We do the same thing on the folks that with us. We find some way to tell a lie, but at the end of the day, we are hunting for truth. All of us are, but we gotta lie our way to it, and sometimes we gotta be honest about that. Like I am lying right now because I don't know exactly what I'm talking about, but I know some version of it, and some version of it is not the complete truth. It's some part of a lie. So I was thinking about that, just figuring out, okay, we all truth hunters. Then how do we be honest about being truth hunters, knowing that we're lying in the process?
Yeah. I thought that was pretty deep, and I'm going to lighten up the conversation just for a second because Josh, I thought for sure you were going to wear the floral shirt today. I thought for sure you were going to wear the
Oh,
floral shirt
that would have been
today.
dope. That would have
Yes.
definitely been dope.
You're going to have
Oh
to
yeah,
put
I
on the
got it.
floral shirt and take a picture with the book. And
Absolutely.
if people want to know the story of the floral shirt, they're going to have to buy Mindset Coward. But it's symbolism. And
It
you know,
actually it
it's
is.
symbolism.
Yeah,
It's
100% is.
symbolism.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's like Asher's signature hat.
Mm. You gotta wear something
His
that
armor.
that would remind you of a moment. I even think about the journey itself, about like the thing that we remember. And oftentimes we remember the thing that hit us hard or was really fun. But the in-between part, I don't have much memory of those things. I remember the pain, I remember the pleasure. So then the shirt was just like it was pleasure, but it ended up being both for you, right,
Mm-hmm.
Josh?
Mm-hmm.
It
Absolutely.
it ended up being both. So talk to us about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So this shirt, shout out to Nordstrom.
Free ad, free ad.
So it was, it was a vibrant shirt. I actually would wear it when I would DJ weddings. It was like got a lot of cool attention. It was always got complimented. And so when I decided to wear this shirt to my kickoff, first day with the new team, and a little bit of the backstory is I had just accepted a new director role position within this large telecommunications company, and my first day on the job, it was a kickoff for about 500 directors and their team and some direct reports and all that in Atlanta. And I I showed up, but I showed up late. I was tardy, and I had spent the night before.
CP time.
Yeah, oh yeah, and it was definitely uh yeah, it was. But that's not how I normally show up. All right, I'm not late. Like that's not how you develop a great reputation as a powerful sales director and driver of results. But this particular day, the universe was like, "Hey, Joshua, we're gonna let you get some sleep." And the night before, I wasn't turned or anything. I was just excited. A little bit in the book that I talk about is I had been recruited in what my mind was this Black Wakanda experience.
Mm.
Wakanda corporate America. I'm talking about we got the leadership is Black, the team is Black. It's just melanin and Black excellence running rampant. And I'm like, oh yeah. And they got, him, because I'm him. And I'm coming to help elevate the team. So I was excited. I was pumped. And being like a first gen college graduate, first in my family to really try to scale and climb up the corporate ladder. Not that there's any excuse about that, but I had craved that being in the Pacific Northwest where, it's not as dark up here. So I found a team internally at corporate America that was led by this African American male, and I was enamored. I was excited. And so the night before, we spent the whole time dancing. I was getting to know the team and all that. I tell you, I wish I had a better story about me just being drunk and just lit, but none of that was the case. I got to bed late, about 2 a.m. I had to be down there back in the kickoff by 8:30 a.m. the next day. And I am dealing with 3 hours plus because, I'm on West Coast time still internally. So there's that going on. So just a lot of noise going on that I did not prepare well for. So my alarm goes off at 8:30. It had gone off prior, but I didn't hear it for whatever reason. So the moment I'm supposed to be there at 8:30, I get up at 8:30 in my room and I rush. I throw on my flower shirt, because this is my way of being discreet, is to be loud and colorful and vibrant. But that, genuinely, authentically, that really is me. And so, I tried to sneak in the back door of the conference room. And by this time, because of, your boy likes to dance. So last night prior, I was hitting him with the Dougie, little two-step, we was 1-2-step and all of it. And so they were talking about this on stage, like, hey, and Joshua, where is he? Wait a minute, where's he at? Like, he was up, he was getting it. and my team is texting me, boss, where you at? This is my new team. They're like, this is the first time they're meeting me. Boss, where you at? We got a seat saved for you. Just like you wanted. We saved your seat in the front row.
Just like to sit in the front row too. She's one of
them. But I walk in and the MC immediately spots me. My VP, my new boss is all on stage. And yeah, they let me have it in the most spectacle way possible. I had to walk of shame down to the front row, like I told my team to sit me in. So I'm thinking like that was not a good idea because I didn't know I was gonna be late. But you know what? In that moment, I had started to do my own work, and what I mean by that is a situation like that 3-4 years ago, prior to that moment, and this is right before the pandemic hit. I would have made an excuse. I would have tried to avoid accountability. And none of that fares well for the things that you're doing to yourself in your own life that are your responsibility. No one is coming to save you. There are people in your circle that may make you feel good about your poor decision making because they want you to like them.
Can you say that a little louder for the people in the back? Who's coming to save you?
No one is coming.
Yep.
You know, and I was raised in a very strict faith-based religion about the return. And we're not gonna get into religion like that. But again, it's this idea that someone is going to save you from your poor decision making and the things that you have not prioritized and give you credit for the work you have not done. So with that myth in our head, we can tell ourselves a number of stories that make us feel good, make us tolerate relationships that self-soothe us, but rob us of our ultimate joy because we are fascinated with this. How can I maintain relationships with people and be liked by them? Not be aligned, not be intimately courageous to tell each other the truth, but just to be liked and accepted, right? And it speaks deeply to what it means to be human. We want to be connected. We want to be in community. We want to be a part of our tribe. Let me tell myself a number of lies or half truths to make it feel acceptable on the surface that I'm supposed to be where I think I'm supposed to be. And in that moment, I said, I'm not going to get any more respect trying to outmaneuver and this and the alarm and I'm on I'm still on West Coast time, so my the 3 hours that I'm now forced to be, all this affected me. This is why I couldn't get here. No, I said, I got on my little phone, got on Google. I said, man, how do you overcome an embarrassing moment? And the thing that Google told me at the time was just own it.
Yes.
Right. Let's be poised. Let's own it. And let's take responsibility for the thing that you are doing or not doing and accept the consequences and move on. Right. And the last part of the story I'll tell is that my new boss walks up on me at the break because she's disappointed. And she looks at me and I said, hold on. I wish I had a great story for you. I don't. I overslept. She says, well, I know you're going to fix it. And, and we just moved on. Right. But it became a bigger deal. I got teased about this the whole time I was on this team. And so all that did was piss me off in a good way to beat everybody. So I won my last award before I left that organization. And then I wore that same shirt posing with my summit trophy and said, hey, this is where we started. There was a whole trend going on at that time during social media, how we start and how we end it. So I had the same shirt on that they took of me at the conference, and then I posed again with the same shirt with the trophy. But it was a great story and a part of my growth and development around owning who you are, even if it's inconvenient or feels uncomfortable, because that's actually what gives you a lot of credibility with people when they know you're a truth teller, even of yourself. If you can dish it, you got to be able to take it and be armored in a way that allows you to navigate space with clarity, which I believe is one of the kindest things we can do for ourselves, is to find more and more situations to be clear in versus tolerating ambiguity to the point where you're unsure of what your next move is or should be.
I agree with everything you said. Confidence creates clarity. The confidence isn't the ego. It actually isn't. It's, in my opinion, the humility.
Yeah.
you don't have to be liked by everyone. And if you've ever listened to our podcast before, you know that I lean into the fact that I am not everyone's cup of tea, but I am someone's cup of cafecito. Not everyone
Ooh.
likes me, and I'm okay with it. Why? Because I'm bold, I'm direct, I'm honest, but at the same time, I love on people hard. I believe in positive, good energy, but I also don't like to mince words. Like, why add the fluff? Just tell me like it is so I know what to do. So I can be better and do better, but only if I have a circle of people that are schooling me on what I'm doing. And so sometimes while the delivery can feel brutal to someone else, the very next sentence is me loving on them and showing them that it's an opportunity for them to rise. When you talk about, and this is when the HR lady, the old HR lady in me comes out, right? About you were thinking of an excuse. Well, an excuse is not a reason, and it most certainly is not an explanation. But so many people fall on the sword of, I need to have an excuse. I need to explain why I showed up later. I need to have some outrageous, there was a multi-car crash on the through, whatever. No, you don't need any of that. You need truth. You need to be able to recognize that authenticity and honesty, not only for yourself, but for the team that you are now building with this company, is going to lay the foundation of how you work together. And so you being able to recognize that you weren't going to come up with some elaborate story of what happened. I loved that part of that journey in that storytelling. Ashley, you got something to say. I see it.
Yeah, Josh, I was listening to you, and I want you to speak more on this because you mentioned the identity, owning who you are, and I add renting who you are. So renting the identity and owning the identity.
Mm.
And I want you to talk about when you decide to own yours versus renting it, because I think a lot of people have this challenge of really owning the identity, whether it looks great or it looks bad, but you decide, I'm not gonna rent. Because when you rent it, it's like I move out real fast and leave it and don't want to own it, right? So talk to me about that.
Yeah. You know, this did not make the book. This is for, we can't give it all at once now.
Mm-mm.
You got to, it's a long, long game here. But when I hear you talk about what you just framed, I believe owning who you are is, there's the parts of you that we walk around with that we're ashamed to expose or reveal. And that doesn't mean I need to go on Instagram live or, be like, hey, this is everything going on with me. This is a quiet, disciplined conversation between you and you. When you're in a and actually even owning when you're being performative. Owning when, yep, this is I'm doing right. I'm serving right now without boundaries. I'm serving right now to be liked because this has worked for me to get my short-term goals. Even naming that, and I do this in my coaching practice as well. Let's normalize what you're actually doing and tell the truth about it. I start saying it and like, I don't. We start looking at each other. We don't like the way that sounds, huh? I don't, but that's what I'm doing. Even for someone to admit, I don't like the sound of what I'm doing when I start saying it out loud, but I have to because a part of me freeing myself from living in accordance with somebody else's rules or the way they would do things and the things I don't necessarily feel good about. So I don't say all that bottled up in you just keeps you in a cage and it keeps you bound from being exactly who you're designed to be wherever you are in your journey. It's not about being perfect. It's not about, let me show up the best I can for people to be able to look at me in admiration and awe. Owning who you are, first of all, comes with awareness to accept who you are. See, that's a whole journey in and of itself. Just to tell the truth about what you're doing, how you're doing it. And this doesn't always mean something negative or bad or shameful. But if everything that I do is always for someone else to applaud me or to give me a gold star, you lose a sense of what really matters for you. And this is a practice that you have to pay for. And I mean this like through your actions every day. Not We might not be, I'm going to be my authentic self and I'm going to tell the truth. That might be a marathon for you right now. What are the moments in your life where it's like, well, I'm not ready to run my marathon around this, but what's a 40-yard dash look like for me? Can I tell one more truth to my supervisor today that I normally will hold back? Can I let my partner know one more truth that I've been walking around with that I don't normally feel comfortable sharing? It's that, right? And getting used to just sitting in that tension without avoiding it, because is a relationship going to get destroyed if I speak this? The last thing I'll say, I was with some family and I take folks on this retreat called the Hero's Journey every year with a brother of mine, another coach, Mr. Michael Montari out in Colombia. So I talk about the retreat. It's called the Hero's Journey because it invites people to answer a call. And, there's a whole, framework around avoiding your call, finding people to help you lean into your call. And I'll describe this retreat to my family, and people's eyebrows start raising because they're like, well, what if people are adhering to their truth so much they want to get a divorce?
That's real. That's real, Josh. That's real.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because what I learned from even the question is, how much do we avoid telling our loved ones, our romantic loved ones, the truth in a way that honors self versus shrinking for this larger dynamic called monogamy, marriage? This is how we're supposed to do it. So I can't really be myself here. I have to avoid telling you the truth so I can maintain relationship. Well, I'm here to tell you that is a lie. Any relationship that forces you to go underground to be seen, to be protected, if I do enough of this and if I do enough of that, then you'll love me. That's a lie. It's not true. The more space you take up being yourself gives people the clarity to decide for themselves what they can embrace and what's needed for them to reject. Anything short of that, we don't have to get into it. We're lying our way to a truth that's not true because it is absent of your voice. So a lot of the work we're doing when I think about this, the book that we've all come together to build is, this book is not about motivation. It's not about another coping guide. It's about confronting the internal coward that we all have and we prioritize over our truth, because your truth matters. It deserves to be seen. And if you are unwilling to speak it, it leads to more and more confrontation internally that destroys you. Yeah. And there's all kind of studies out there about what that does to you physically. We don't need to get into all that right now because I'm not even prepared to give that data, but I know it exists and you should go look it up.
You nailed it. To me, the truth is freedom. To me, the truth gives you freedom. This book isn't meant to motivate people. It's meant to interrupt people's lives, to get them to look within. Mindset Coward isn't a story. It's a mirror. It's a reflection. What lies are you telling yourself? What lies are you allowing other people to tell you? What are you afraid of not changing? And what are the excuses that you're using as survival mechanisms that aren't serving you? That's what this book is about. I love this book gives people, when they read it, we're 4 different people.
Yeah.
4 different stories, literally 4 different parts of the country and Canada, but it gives people an insight that we are more alike than we are different. And when you recognize that each of our stories has that common thread of, at some point, we were a coward. And when Asher first said that word to me, I'll never forget. He said it on the podcast. I was like, Asher, that's an offensive word. People are not going to like that word. He was like, I don't care. Like, it needs to be told. And that is very true. We all have or had a coward within us that we were too afraid to recognize the truth within ourselves. But recognizing that truth, owning it, and owning it means lots of different things. Earlier, you talked about consequences. Let me tell you, some people avoid consequences at all costs. Whatever they have to do to not face the consequence, that's what their focus is. Not what got them to that place, but how to avoid staying in that place. And recognizing that when we own that truth, it becomes so liberating. It becomes transformational. When I've shared the idea of the book with people, or the stories, the themes, I talk about Vanessa being the Rocky Balboa of our group, right?
Yeah.
She went 12 rounds, but she had something inside of her that wasn't going to allow the noise to continue to influence her. And when I talk about your story, I talk about how you had an awakening. To me, when I read your story, it was like your awakening revealed your truth that set you to the path of where you are today. So, what in that process of revealing in that season of your life do you think was the thing that made you recognize that you were not living your true, authentic, best life, best version of Joshua Fields?
Yeah. Um, you know, during that time, leading up to that time, I had found out my father had been diagnosed with liver cancer. They gave him a year to live, and he eventually ended up living 3 years. But he died the same year that, or shortly after I decided to move on and pursue other interests when I left my corporate role. So what was happening at that time is I was watching this powerful person in my life succumb to a sickness, and I watched him transition from being this person that I feared respectfully to someone that couldn't even shave his face anymore. And so I had left my role at my corporate job. I decided, you know what, at least from the clarity I had at that time, this place isn't for me. It's time for me to move on. I explain a little bit more in detail in the book, but I realized that a part of my awakening and my growth is being limited by this constant pressure to perform and be something for other people because I'm overly concerned about another gold star. And I'll tell you the truth, that has not gone anywhere. It's still very Joshua. However, when I would look at my dad, I remember an image of him about 120 pounds, skin and bones, brought home from the hospital. The last thing he could say without struggle to my sister and I was, I wish I had more time. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, Dad, you know, I had just turned 40 at the time. I'm 44 now. I know I don't look like it. Thank you very much. I was like, well, Dad, you know, your kids, you know, we're in our 40s now. You like, you did it, man. Like, good job. He said, you know what? There is an amount of time that would suffice. You guys are going to be all right. And he turned over and went to sleep. And I watched him transition from, even in his death, to not even being able to speak, not even being able to help himself or feed himself, and this gradual decline in physical abilities. And I said, you know what? This is the best case scenario for him. And what do I mean by that? Well, and it took me a minute to get here, but he was loved. He was surrounded by his family. I was there to pick him up. My sister was there to feed him. My mom was there to rub him. My brother was there to be a, you know, crowd control for the family and friends that wanted to see him. And we all just came together to protect our dad as much as we can, but also support our dad, even when he was moving on. And he lived his life. And this is the last thing I'll say about this. He lived his life so unapologetically him, and yet very shameful because of who he was before he was Elder James Fields, the church guy. He was Jimmy Diamonds, this street persona. And I said this at his funeral. I said, we're so in love with Elder James Fields, the pastor, the minister. But the substance and the content that created that person was from the street. So we can't discard him because, oh, he finally got it together and became this thing that we all are inspired by. It is because of what he went through in the street, being the tough guy, being on drugs, being in jail, to then emerge and fight through what it means to be fully him. But we do this. We like to cherry pick our stories. And that isn't really beneficial to anyone that is looking to heal and be touched by a story of truth. And I would get on my dad as I get older, like, nah, man, tell the whole story. I want to know who Jimmy Diamonds is. I actually got a Jimmy Diamonds picture of him tattooed on my arm. And my mom was like, why you get that picture? You should have got one of the. Nah, I want to know more about this man who was shamed, who was told, oh, you're not a part of this part of society because you made these choices. The story about that not stopping him from being able to redesign and restructure a family that in his last moments showed up for him because we felt a true love and connection to this man, regardless of what he did. That's the life I want to mimic more of because it's honest. So yeah, so that inspired my wife and I to go to therapy. I got some truths I want to share. Hey kids, I don't want you to put your parents on a pedestal. I want you to see us as we are, as truth tellers, even in our weakest moments. Because the performance that comes from thinking you got to be the hero for people and a villain to yourself, bullshit. We got to stop that. And
that's a heavy
anyway,
burden. That's a heavy burden that a lot of people carry.
Yeah. And I want to say this too. We wrote the book Mindset Coward. It is still a guide and a reminder for us currently where we are. We have not arrived anywhere. We put some truth out in the world to be like, and this at times still feels aspirational, but we got to practice being who we are, even when it's not convenient for others. And so
you've been on a road, Fizz. I want to keep you going.
Oh yeah, man. Well, yeah, stop me too.
Yeah, I want to keep.
Tennis. I might be hitting too many aces.
No, you got to keep going. You said something earlier. You said going underground to be seen.
Say that one more time.
That's deep for me, right? Going underground to be seen. You said that. I don't know if you was flowing. I don't know if you were freestyle on the mic, so you was flowing. But you also said something that I want you to dig into. I heard you said something like, "We have productized the coward." But how can we productize the courageous person, the courageous version of ourselves? So if you had to give somebody advice to now start productizing the courageous person in them, what would be that path for them to get there? Because we have seen too many cowards moves around us, and we have done it ourselves. But how do we assume more courage, productize that process?
Yeah. So two parts to that. The person that has a lot of money, the big title, the nice car, and I'm not knocking any of this. That does not mean they're courageous. Sometimes they've gotten so well at performing for the validation of others because our society loves to actually promote that. How can you burn yourself out for your company? How can you give me another martyr story about what you do as a parent for your kids? And the whole time you're depleted, borrowing from deficit to pay people in surplus that have no intent on prioritizing your wants or needs. And it's actually not even their fault. Because when you start to take accountability about how you let people treat you, that becomes a very cold and chilling mirror to look at. So my advice would be to practice speaking the uncomfortable part of you that deserves some air too. And do this when you're ready, but it starts in safe spaces with people that you can trust. And you develop that trust by taking risks, by telling more and more of your truth. It might not be the truth that you're going to take to your grave or a feeling that you are just whatever it is, but you can start practicing, hey, kids or boss, I appreciate receiving recognition like this. Give people just some clarity on how to interact with you. Case in point, I talk about this book. I get a little weird asking people to help me. I don't know about anybody else out there, but I get a little I'm like, I posted it. I mean, I got a book out. Share it. Buy it. Do I got to be that specific on that?
Yes, you do.
Yes, you
Just in
do.
case there's any misunderstanding. Yes, you do.
You
Yes.
do.
Yes.
Because this is what happens. You can assume that people, oh, Joshua's got it. Oh, I see him. He got the co-authors. I'm sure they got it. And this is not even anything malicious. It's just people assume, especially when you present like, oh, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. It's like, okay, you don't need my help. Let me go help the people that need my help, that look like victims. You ever heard of the strong friend? The friend that knows how to create an image and a presence that looks like I got it all together, right? Which is another form of performing to keep yourself safe from being vulnerable. I told my buddy Jeremy Rubin about this. I was like, he was like, bro, I ain't really seen no posts or nothing. I'm like, what do you mean, bro? I've been posting all the time about this book. You have? Well, I missed it. He goes, looks at my post. He's like, man, I got you. And I didn't know what I got you meant. But next thing I know, he's on his social media feed promoting the book. Why? Because I told him, man, I'm doing this. I want to get some help. You know, there's a message in this book that I think that resonates with people. But even this has been an activity in ask for help, look for support, regardless of what the accolade looks like. You still need a community of people to move you forward, just like you received, Joshua, when you linked up with a Jessica, a Vanessa, and an Asher that brought you in to help accomplish something that you knew you might not have been able to do on your own or as efficiently. Look at what help looks like when you're courageous enough to ask and give people clear instructions on how to show up for you clearly. It's always to your benefit.
You just said what I was writing. Asking for help is courageous. It's brave. It's humility. It's recognizing that we cannot do all things on our own and
100%.
having enough confidence to put the ego
Yeah.
in the back and be like, listen, I did a thing. I didn't tell anybody I was doing the thing, but I did a thing.
Yep.
And now I'm ready to share it with the world. But I need the people in my circle to help get the word out that I did a thing with 3 other amazing human beings that have powerful, impactful stories that they've shared in this transformational book. That it's a thing that I've struggled with. It's one thing I will say that I've learned from Asher. Asher doesn't struggle with that. Asher has no problem asking people for help. He will ask everyone under the sun for help. He won't take everyone's help, though, is the other thing that I've learned. He'll make sure that he takes the help from the people that know more than him or have more resources than him when it comes to the work that he's doing. He doesn't take everyone's help. He listens to everyone. I think that's also something that we need to do a lot more of, listening more to people, but recognizing that asking for help is being brave. And we need to do more of that. It shows people that in community, you can accomplish amazing, beautiful, big things versus you trying to do it all on your own. You being all things to all people, you trying to write a book, promote the book, get the book sold. Like you can't do that. You cannot do that. It was something that I had to learn. I had to learn in this process, just like you.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, as I'm listening to the wisdom of both of you guys, just like turning, it got me thinking about sometime the great thing about being in a community and then rising further from the community, like community rise you up. Because as a leader, you get to rise up and get to see further for your community, right? Because the level that they put you at gives you the ability to see further so you can help them see further.
Yeah.
But oftentimes we don't recognize the wisdom in that and see, oh, we have a purpose here. And my purpose is to elevate so I can see further for my people. But if I'm trapped in the valley, I can't see further. We both blind. But when help somebody elevate and that becomes your guy. So I'm looking at you, Josh. I'm listening to you. I'm like, man, this brother here can really, spread the message for the mission and the vision we're trying to go after here, which is, so let's rise up Josh a little bit higher so you can see for us, because now you can articulate what you can see out there that we're not seeing as a community. So for the folks that you're trying to influence, what are you seeing out there that you've been elevate yourself higher enough to see that you want them to see now, because they haven't seen, because of this process, they haven't experienced this process?
Yeah. A part of my one story in the book that I talk about is my son, Tyson. This is a whole other book in and of itself called The Man, the Mouse, and Me. And one of the stories that I was going to use in that book eventually when it comes out, now that I know how to go through a book writing process, is this, I was 3 years old, 3, 4 years old. My mom she always would describe this story as it would just bother me. My dad would pick me up. He was like, "Boy, are you a man or a mouse?" And I would answer that I'm a mouse. Because in my head, I don't like you, the way you grab me and pick me up. And whether it was, flippantly or to piss him off, I took down and said I was a mouse. And, my dad was like, he was the tough street guy, and I was the soft church boy. I was choir boy. So I didn't have that street moniker that he was, kind of that toughness that he was hoping to see. At least that's the story I told myself. I know he was proud of me, but at times there would be times like, I wish you could be more tough, street mentality. And so I was just how I was being raised. But when he passed, I was in the bathroom with my son. We're getting ready for bed, and we're washing our hands. And I look at him, and he's 5 at the time. He'll be 9 here in a month. And I look at him, I said, "Son, are you a man or a mouse?" And he looks at me and he goes, "I'm me." And I said, "What did you say?" He was like confused by the question. He's like, "I'm me." I text my brother, my older brother. I said, "Hey, I just asked a question that Dad used to ask us." Tyson said, "He's me." My brother's excited. He's like, "Bro, that's been the right answer the whole time." And why I bring this story up is whatever my wife and I have done to raise a family where we're encouraging our children to be what they are, where they are, regardless if that's convenient for us or not, is getting comfortable telling the truth about where you actually are in your life. And so if I'm esteeming myself and I sit on this mountaintop that Asher has proverbially put me on to look ahead at those that are on their journey, I would encourage you to say there's nothing wrong with you, or to believe there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing broken. Our trauma, our relationships, that all comes with the assignment of being human. But if we stop projecting that we're supposed to be something beyond what we are, we can find a lot of peace and a lot of connection being right where we are and letting the people that are meant for us find us, because we are unashamedly courageous to speak truth so we can be found. Now, I'm not a big Bible reader today, but I was inundated with scripture as a child. One scripture that stands out to me the loudest is, "What profit a man or a person to gain the entire world and lose your soul?" To me, at 44, that communicates a deep truth and gem around you can be everything to everyone else. You can be trying to fit in all these structures and these bubbles, and this is what a great exec is. This is what this does. This is where you vacation. You can be doing all that just so you can get a subset of likes on Instagram to feel like, oh, I guess I'm doing it. I guess I'm powerful. Yeah, and all that feels good. It does. But hanging out in a world too long that's not meant for you destroys you. It crushes you, and it's not meant for you. What's meant for you is what's yours, who you are. And so my son can look at me at 5 and say, "I don't know about the mouse thing. I mean, I'm 5, so I'm not a man, but I know who I am. I'm Tyson. I'm me. Thanks for the question, Dad. Don't really understand it. Are you caught between two power dynamics? Are you trying to decide if you're weak or strong? Because that's not my struggle. I want to be more who I've been designed to be, not what I'm capable of being, but who I've been designed to be. We're capable of doing a lot of things, and we might shy away from the things that we're designed to do. And that takes courage to go down that path. That's my 2 cents, brother.
Man, that was 50 Cent right there.
Well, we working on a documentary soon. I don't know if it's going to be like the Diddy one, but I got some, if anything, definitely said you're not hating hard enough. You need to destroy your haters. But no,
this
that's
is
yeah.
I mean, that's a whole
whole thing.
other hidden truth up in there. We can have another conversation about that. We can have another conversation about
Absolutely.
that. It's also a reflection of the hidden truth that people know and are not courageous enough to stand up for what's right and just, to not be able to recognize that there are things, people, systems that use their power, their authority, their influence, not to help others rise, but to hold them down.
Absolutely.
Physically and metaphorically.
Absolutely.
So it's like that is a whole thing of having, so which comes first in terms of, and I do believe they're different. While they may have the same definition, but are you brave before you're courageous? Or are you courageous before you're brave?
So I have a thought on that.
I'd love to hear it.
I believe that, and so I'm gonna use my DJ bag for this. Faith and fear have an interesting relationship. Faith gets on the dance floor and just trusts that the energy and the music is gonna match, and faith is gonna know the dance moves. It doesn't know the dance moves per se. It just believes, well, if the music's on, I can dance to it. Now, fear is in the corner, holding up the wall. I'm not going to get out there because I don't know if I'm going to have the moves right. Who wants to dance with me? Maybe I shouldn't even be here. Just all these very safe thoughts to keep you from taking a risk. Internally, we are made up of various dynamics. But at its core, it's a relationship between where do you need more faith to bring your fear off of the wall, to bring them to the dance floor and create an environment internally. This is internal work where your fear can let go, not of being fear, but trusting in your faith of self. It's not about rejecting, oh, no more fear and, be bigger than that. No, it's about internally creating safety for yourself in terms of what you're able to communicate truthfully, the less hiding you do. So you feel grounded in who you are, that no matter what decision I make in faith, my fear will be settled by it. There's a great scene in the movie. If you watch this, Inside Out 2, it's great. It's a great movie. Gotta watch it. It's a kid movie, but I watch kid movies. There's a scene, I'm gonna give a little bit of away. Joy, who's one of the emotions inside this character, Riley, she gets back to the control center, and anxiety, one of the new emotions in the movie, is running wild. All the other emotions are at bay. Even fear is like, man, anxiety's tripping right now. But what Joy does in the movie is bring all the emotions together: embarrassment, envy, anger, fear, nostalgia, boredom. It's a whole bunch of them. Go watch the movie. And Riley, the character, plays hockey. And there's a scene where Riley's a bit anxious about, am I going to do it right? Am I going to let my team down? Joy gets back and regulates the whole room around her core memory. You'll learn more about the movie if you watch it. But what happens is it wasn't about rejecting any of the emotions. It was about bringing all the emotions together to regulate them, to know that no one is not supposed to be here. Everything you feel has an appropriate design to help you be more who you are. But if one of the emotions gets out of balance, it takes over, right? Even if you're too joyful, that can have some side effects that be like, bro, are you delusional? Like you need to realize if you keep doing this is the outcome, right? So this is not positive talk. It is not about being overly afraid. But you have to do that work internally, be so aware of what you're made of and what you're designed to do, that you're able to appropriately assign enough to a situation because it truly represents who you are. And it's not just your fear talking. Because if it's just your fear talking, you're not going to do anything. And if it's all about taking risk, well, you're going to put yourself in sometimes unsafe situations because you're ignoring data that's communicating, I don't know if we belong here, but we're going to stay here. We're going to make it work. So as you go through this and unfold in a way that is truly honoring you, that's the courage to be yourself, even when you're afraid and even when you're overly optimistic. It's being able to regulate that all together to be something that you can lean on and trust. So you move through that in alignment with who you are, not just because I'm in this emotional space of fear. I'm overly in this emotional space of joy, which sometimes can be us not recognizing the hard truths about what it means to be you. So it's a delicate balance, but it requires practice. You can't just read a book. You got to read the book, and then it has to become applicable to your life. And I think we do a really good job of being able to bring in human stories to help other humans in their own story.
I agree. Confidence is born in love, from love, in love. That's where confidence is created internally in a person. Fearlessness is built on courage, but courage, it only grows in faith. And
yeah. Ooh.
I mean,
that's
the
a
Bible
bar.
tells us. The Bible tells us that. Hebrews 11:1 tells us that. And so to recognize that it is the whole having more faith than fear, of recognizing that we've survived every difficult challenge, moment, obstacle in our life, and whatever we're facing at this moment is no different than that moment. The only difference is now we have more faith than fear, and we lean in and recognize that God is sending us and moving us in a certain direction. The question is, are we going to move, or are we going to stay paralyzed in fear, not having enough faith to recognize that this is not meant to harm me. This is meant for me. That's the power perspective. That's the difference when you think about the circumstances, the things that are happening in our life, and the lies that we believe that we know in our heart are not true. So I think we need to start wrapping up, Ashley. I mean, we could keep talking, but I think we may have to just have Joshua back.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap up in a bit, but we gotta give the people something to roll with. And Josh kind of touched on it. So Josh, you gotta give them, Allen Iverson, you're talking about practice, bro. You're talking about practice. Remember that line he dropped? So the people gotta practice, the audience gotta practice. So walk them through the practice of the courage journey to put the coward on the ground, because it's time for us to bury it. But if we gotta bury it and elevate the courageous version of ourselves, what's the practice?
Yeah. One thing that comes up for me that and I get a little bit of a cheat sheet because I encourage my clients to do the same thing when they're evaluating how honest they're being in their life. And one question I ask is, what are you tolerating that's robbing you of your joy? Show up today. What did I tolerate today, absent of me sharing my truth? Doesn't mean things are going to change or magically align with what you want. But sometimes at the end of the day, it's just taking a couple minutes and catching the lie in real time before you get too far away from it. So question like, what did I avoid today? One question I ask my kids when I pick them up is like, hey, what did you do challenging today? Nothing. Today was easy. Well, it just gets them thinking about, okay, if I keep saying today is easy, and you think about, well, what does easy mean in terms of how I feel about doing the consistently easy thing? You start to realize that I'm feeling really unfulfilled right now. I don't feel motivated. Well, I got 7 days of you telling me today was easy. It's not really a recipe for an invigorating life. What did I pretend not to feel today? Oh, that's it. What are you pretending not to feel? And this is a good one for relationships. What truth did I soften, delay, or hide? And you just name them. And it might not be for anybody's business. You might not even decide to do anything with that information. But the information, when it comes out of the darkness and into a light to reveal it to you, that's where the power is. Some of us are too afraid to even turn on the lights in our museum to see our beautiful artwork. So we didn't told us a story about how we're moving and what's meaningful to us. And we got a whole treasure that someone told us deserve not to be seen. So we don't even invest. We won't even go look at it. But even if we decide, even the things that are uncomfortable, just see it. You don't got to move it out the way. We're not here to renovate yet, but just see the things that you're doing on a day-to-day basis. And I guarantee you, when you're honest about how you pretend, what you're avoiding in your life, or the things that you try to soften to make yourself feel better, by just naming it out loud to yourself, is a great practice to move you toward interrupting these patterns of being a coward for yourself, right? Because you don't oftentimes, especially self-starters and people that doing great things, we're our harshest critic. But I'm not talking about criticizing yourself. I'm talking about being honest about your behavior around what you believe you need to do to be accepted. Because the lie is that you have to be something inauthentic to be received by the people you think are receiving you because they like what you're doing. Oh, that feels good. You always make me feel good. You know, I can come to you for anything. You always drop everything and take my call. Too much of those acknowledgments at your funeral should be off limits. We need to hear, and there was a season that this person got to, and they went on sabbatical. I couldn't find them. I relied on them for this, but they took some time back and gave it back to themselves. And then when they reemerged and reappeared, I don't know, there's something different about them. But you won't go take that time. You know why? Because you didn't told yourself a lie that everybody in your life needs you because you want to be needed, because there's a love deficit inside. And so a pattern, like I mentioned, is to honestly give yourself an assessment of what you're doing in your relationships and tell yourself the truth. Mm-hmm. And the truth will do the rest of the work. Trust me. So that's one way I would think about moving towards a practice around unmasking. It's having some silent one-on-one conversations with yourself and reflecting on, what am I avoiding? What am I pretending to feel? And how do I soften, hide, or delay a truth that I avoid telling?
That is a wrap. What are you cooking up over there to wrap us up?
I know my perspective, but I would love to hear Josh and also your perspective, Asher, of what do you want the reader to take away from Mindset Coward?
I'll go first. Josh touched on it about the museum tour. And we all got that museum that we've been collecting, because all our life is just straight history. And we collect a lot of things. And one day you get the courage to say, you know what? I want to take somebody on a tour in my story. Just like these 4 people took us on a tour of their story. Because your history is your intellectual property, and you got to own that. And, we go to college and learn from different textbooks, but nobody's teaching. Let me say nobody. But most people are not teaching from their own textbook. You got a textbook that is full of stuff you can teach from, but you're ashamed of it. You don't appreciate it. So it decreases in value. I would say put it on the stock market, appreciate that thing. Let that thing go up in value. But you got to share it. You got to take the time out to show people what's in your museum. Take them on a tour. Tell them, hey, man, this was one of the worst part of my life. This was one of the best part of my life. This was in between. But we all get to experience that, and you get to own it. Because like I talked about earlier, a lot of us are renting the identity, and it's easy for us to run away from it because it's not ours. And we blame it for different things. Like we blame the ego for different things. But this is all you. All of it. So I say own it. Just like Vanessa owned it, Joshua owned it, Jessica owned it, and I'm fully ownership of mine. Because like the wise man says, responsibility It's an abundance of it out there. So go ahead and take responsibility for your story and share it, just like we did ours. Over to you, Josh.
Yeah. Core takeaways that I want readers to walk away with is, and I mentioned it earlier, we're not broken, but there are times that we are surviving. And so we do things out of survival or scarcity to keep us safe. But while we're being quote unquote safe by relying on lies that keep us numbed from the truth, is fighting for your freedom. So when you're pretending and you're avoiding, you're interrupting the truth inside of you that is fighting for it is fighting on your behalf for freedom. Also, when you think about the book, your mask has a name, and depending on the identity that you're hiding behind can name what that mask is. It can look like the strong friend mask, the high achiever mask, the nice one, the silent one. I align with this one, the entertainer. Let me distract you with my smile, with my good time and my good energy. And the entire time, I'm struggling with insecurity and wish someone would help me the way I help others. Will I be truthful about that and communicate that clearly? No. That would take away from the illusion that I want to create that you will follow me because I look strong and I always smile through the pain. Oh, and we can't wait to recognize people for showing us a version of themselves that is inauthentic and not in alignment with what's going on the inside. Oh, they worked all night on this project and here's some more money. We need more like you. We praise self-sacrifice. And again, I'm not here to judge it. Just here to be honest about what we do to get people doing a number of things that are inauthentic to them. So I think the last thing I'll say to that is people don't need a new life. They just need to be more honest and truthful about the one they have, because there's a lot of capability inside of you to move you forward in a way that's more free and less anxious around these expectations that are not yours to inherit. You get to rewrite your script. That's a choice.
You're going to drop the mic right there. Right there, right there. I mean, a choice. It's a choice that we all make to listen to. The book is not a religious book, just so we know. My chapter of the book is very faith-based because that's a part of my journey. But for me, it was to listen to the voice of God. I didn't need to have a medical degree and initials behind my name to validate what I was experiencing. And what I would love for everyone who reads this book to walk away with is no one knows you better than you. No one. No one knows you better than you. And
even if you don't believe it.
Yes, who you are as you are is perfectly imperfect. And recognizing that we are all a work in progress, but having enough courage to see that no one, I joke about this all the time, but it's so very true. No one's the boss of me. I decide. And recognizing that I get to tell my truth, unapologetically me, is the same thing that every single person who picks up this book and reads it has the courage already inside of them to do, but has to be willing and wanting to remove the mask, to have more faith than fear, and lean in that their truth will be the shining light to the path of where they are destined to go. But staying in the dark, believing the lie, that to me is a waste of your potential. It was a waste of my potential. It's not, woe is me. It's, wow, this is me. This is what I have the chance to do now that I recognize all the things that have been holding me back. And now I am free to follow my heart, to do the things that bring me joy, to have the lessons and the blessings on this path that I'm taking that I've never taken before, that's scary, big, bold, and beautiful and unknown, but I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So that's what I want everyone who reads this book to recognize. We all took off the mask, every single one of us. In our stories, as different as the stories are, they are very much the same. It's recognizing that I'm not going to play small anymore. You're not going to play small anymore. To live out loud and to recognize that your story, your experiences, what you've lived through, where you're going, has the ability to impact someone else to be better and do better, to me is the ultimate act of service.
Well, Idea Tennis fans and friends and family, you've just tuned into the first guest on Idea Tennis podcast, Joshua Fields, the man, the myth, the legend. They say history is what happened, and legend is what we remember. I know we're gonna remember Joshua because he's gonna be a legend on this podcast for the first guest being here. So, Josh,
Yes,
we appreciate you showing up, man.
yes.
Yeah,
Wait, we
no, I
can't let
appreciate
this
it.
photo opportunity go. So
Oh,
we
yeah.
need to get our
Yeah, come on
books.
now. This is there
Right,
we go.
right.
Get it in the light.
Available now in Amazon.
Absolutely.
Yes, we will
You know what I
find
mean?
in the show notes, you will find the link to purchase your book, and you'll also find where to follow and support and show some love to Josh, my new brother on the West Coast.
Come on.
I'm gonna have to go to Portland.
Yeah, we out here.
Yes,
You
I'm
know?
gonna have to go to Portland. I found out recently that there's some Puerto Ricans in Portland, so I'm gonna have to go.
Oh,
Yes,
okay. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
there's some Puerto Ricans in
Okay.
Portland. So yes. All right. With that being
All right.
said,
Make it an utterly fantastic day, folks. And don't forget to share and like and subscribe. One member at a time.
There it is.
That's right.